Hi, and welcome to another edition of Hooked on Health, the show where we discuss and demonstrate ways to function, feel, and look your best. I hope that I look a little calmer than I feel today because I couldn't be more excited. This is the episode of Hooked on Health that I've been waiting for a long time because I'm here to introduce a very special guest, a woman by the name of Miss Tiffany Seybart. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian.
On the last episode of Hooked on Health, we talked about stress, specifically about the physical and mental effects of prolonged physical and mental stress. And the first method of addressing stress, of managing it for people that I discussed was meditation. So we did kind of a simple overview of very basic meditation process. And I knew that the next topic that I wanted to get into for addressing stress and improving your health was yoga. Now, yoga is a huge topic. Obviously, it covers a lot of different specific practices, and if you live in Chicago in particular, you know that there are yoga studios all over the place, and that's a wonderful thing. I think it's a great trend that is clearly here to stay. Today, with my guest Tiffany Seybart, we are going to talk, if I may, specifically about an approach to yoga called Kundalini, and more specifically, the approach that Tiffany takes in the community to teach and benefit people. So before I grasp any more about what it is that I'm actually trying to describe, I'm going to turn it over to the expert herself. So if I may, Tiffany, can you just lay on us what it is that you're doing?
Thank you for having me, Brian. I started a program called Cop to Yoga Peace Force in the 24th District of Chicago, the 24th Chicago Police District, which is in my neighborhood in the 49th Ward. And about 2.5 years ago, when the violence on the streets was everywhere, making national news everywhere, I was on my mat one morning and said, the Chicago cops need to do yoga. It will help them so much. So I called and spoke with Sergeant Sean Sisk, who runs the Community Alternative Policing Strategy in our district. And so we talked, and he said, when can you come over? I said, whenever you want, when is good. And he said, can you please come now? So so the good news is that I started working, teaching on site in the 24th District, like you would normally envision a yoga class. You're on a mat, you're doing postures. The hallmark really of Kundalini yoga and of the yoga that I teach, which I think is the most effective, is the breath work. So it's the breathing, the breath work yoga meditations. So the program itself evolved from people on mats to people sitting in chairs and breathing. So we started with like a 40-minute session where you're changing clothes, you're on a mat, all that. No one had time for that. It got to that point, right? And you've got pain and alignment issues, especially with law enforcement. They're carrying 20 pounds of equipment on them all the time. So their alignment and pain issues are really unique. And so since the most effective yoga is what we refer to as pranayama, or breathing, breath work, I extracted the breath work from it, and we sit in chairs. I teach on site in the roll calls. The class is called roll call. And at the very end of the roll call, after the announcements, I walk the Chicago Police through about 3 different yoga breath works. They are listening to Bach. They're listening to a Bach fugue, a Beethoven sonata, so they're completely shifting into calm. They're reoxygenating their blood cells. They're lowering their heart rate. They're lowering their blood pressure. They're lowering the cortisol. And they're learning techniques that they can fold into whatever it is that they're doing, their workouts. But, they're at a stoplight, and they take a couple of nice, long breaths. They're walking from the car to the door, a couple of nice, long, deep breaths.
So I want to jump in here because I realize Tiffany and I have known each other for years. We're neighbors, and I learned of Cop to Yoga, is it a year ago at least at this point? But every time I talk to her about it, I learn something new about what is actually going on. So let me back up if I can and figure out if I understand this. You thought of it on the yoga mat?
Yes.
Because I don't know if I remember that part of this history.
Yes, yeah.
So you were doing yoga yourself.
Right.
And you were pondering the issue of community violence and friction between the community and the
Right.
law enforcement.
Right.
And you said there's got to be
What
something
can I do as a citizen to bring back a sense of trust between law enforcement and our citizens and ourselves?
Because that's what as soon as you told me about it, I recognized the potential for it. I just didn't realize exactly the genesis of it
Yeah.
and how quickly it started to come together.
Right.
So please continue.
Oh no, it evolved, and I think the beauty in this is that it evolved together with the Chicago Police. We evolved it together. Their contribution was as much as my own contribution. So evolving this with them to something that worked for them, giving up was not going to be any sort of an option. So Commander Nieves there, deserves the credit for that. And
at the 24th
yeah,
district?
at the
Okay.
24th district, yeah. He said, well, so why don't we just do this in the roll call? Perfect. So we did, and that's how the program has evolved. A number of districts have called me since, and so we've spread the word and expanded.
This is another area that I've realized how ignorant I am. When you say roll call, that just means before they go out?
Right,
So everybody reports for their for shift?
Right, exactly. So
Okay.
they're in the roll call room, basically taking attendance, they're having announcements, whatever it is they do before they head out into their cars onto their shift. So once they're done, they meditate.
So tell me, please, what that was like when it first started. I mean, what was that like the first time that you did it?
It was like when you're in 7th grade and everybody's giggling, and but it was.
What, because they were uncomfortable with this idea?
Yeah, I think so. It's not every day that someone comes in and says, okay, we're going to listen to a Bach fugue and we're going to just do some long, deep breathing. We're going to then we're going to shift into a left side breathing, and then we're going to stretch a bit, and then we're going to do warrior breath. And so we're going to learn 3 different techniques that you can take with you and do wherever you are.
Didn't you tell me once that there's something called combat breathing? Is that right?
They
What's
call it, right. So this is from military
Okay.
science. This
Right,
is from law enforcement training, where they're doing what they call tactical breathing,
Tactical
combat
breathing too, okay.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Which is the more, I'm just curious, do they call it combat breathing, tactical breathing?
They call it, yeah, all 3 things. But it is the same thing as ancient yoga science breath work. It's the same thing. There is no difference. It's just a different name.
And am I correct in understanding that even though they had all, at least one point in their history, been taught this, they weren't actually using it as it wasn't woven into their approach?
Well, correct. For some of them, they'd never learned it. So, I've had guys that are on the force 17 years, 20 years. They've not learned this in the academy. Maybe if they were in the military, they were exposed to it. Because a lot of times, especially on the warrior breath, where you're breathing in for a count of 4, for instance, holding for the same count, exhaling for longer, and keeping it out, right? This is preparing you for shooting. So you're building a bit of a cushion around you, so you're very alert, but you're very relaxed at the same time.
This is one of the reasons that I was looking forward to today's show, because I've said a couple times on Hooked on Health that I feel so lucky to come and teach what I'm teaching, because I suffer from stress as much as anybody, and they say that you teach what you need to learn. So I'm excited because Tiffany's going to take me through what she teaches the law enforcement officers and other people about breathing, which I've studied some breath techniques before, but it's not really my area of specialty, so I'm very limited in the tools that I have. So we're going to get into it.
Sure.
Pretty soon, right? Tiffany's in charge of today's show, so she's going to tell me what to do. And just as a quick side note, another thing that I love about doing the show Hooked on Health is that we don't really rehearse. We certainly don't script. We just want to be able to present the information that we think is valuable the way that we would to anybody else, not just in the studio. So I'm trying to think if there's any other questions, though, that I forgot about this. I think I'll come back to some, but
It's probably, I think, a lot of questions are focused around evidence, right? Why does this work? What does this do? And so long, deep breathing, where we're really breathing in and out through our nose. Most of the exercises, 2 of them for sure. It's only on the last one that we're exhaling out of our mouth. This is activating the parasympathetic nervous system to come in and neutralize the stress, right? So when cops are in fight or flight
mode.
or sympathetic
Yes.
nervous system, that has a, it has a specific purpose, right? Your vision narrows, you're very on alert, right? And so with that comes the flood of stress hormones, right? So what long, deep breathing does is that it activates the parasympathetic nervous system to completely neutralize what's going on. So it stops the production and flow of those stress hormones that flood your system during fight or flight. So, and honestly, it works so quickly that on the second breath, your breath deepens. Yeah, you're already changing it. And the thing is that human beings are the only mammals that have breath control. So, and the fact that we weren't taught this from 4 or 5 years old, it seems like, oh gosh, this is really new. Well, it's not new, and it's not a belief. It's how we're built. So we have that functionality to self-soothe, to self-calm, to bring ourselves back to center so that we are, like as a law enforcement officer, you're in service, right? And your own health and well-being needs to matter first in order for you to be of the highest service.
Well, that's why when you first told me about Kapti Yoga and what you were doing, the light went on for me. And I tend to get a little bit far-fetched and pie in the sky. Tiffany Seybart is much more like, do it, practical. But in any case, that the implications for this for law enforcement worldwide. So as soon as she told me about it, I'm like, we need to translate this into into Spanish and into Italian and into French and into Japanese and bring it, because there must be the same law enforcement worldwide are facing these same issues of stress in urban environments in particular. And but just what resonated with me, and I appreciate it so much, was that there's so much debate, disagreement, friction, pessimism about law enforcement, certainly in Chicago, I bet you in cities all over the country, and that while everybody is arguing and pointing fingers, there's a few people that are just saying, well, what can we do? What can I do?
What can you do?
And that it's sort of agnostic, if you don't mind that word, in terms of what else you believe about what really should have happened in this situation or what should have happened in that situation, and it just focuses on something practical, which this is science-backed. The data is clear on this stuff, and it's building all the time. So that's what I said about meditation in the last episode, was that a person doesn't need to be intimidated by it because it seems mystical or it seems fuzzy, that it's so practical. And that I'm not asking, certainly for the students and people that I work with, I'm not asking you to take my opinion on it. I offer my opinion, but I'm asking you to look at the data, and even more importantly, just experience it for yourself, and then you won't have to wonder anymore. The stuff works. It works. So
it's experiential, and during several of these sessions that I've had with the police over the last couple of years, I've had folks that say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not, that's not for me. And but they end up talking later, and someone says, gosh, I was breathing, it felt great, and so maybe you should try it. So I've had some people convert over that were like, well, I'm not going to do it. And I said, well, you're kind of inhaling and exhaling anyway. You may want to just try it and see if it does what I'm telling you it's going to do, and it does.
Thank you. That's
it's just
nuts
and bolts.
You're doing it anyway. You're breathing, you're standing, you're sitting, all this moment-to-moment stuff that you can't get away from. It's life. So as long as you've got to do it anyway, better to do it mindfully. And with a little bit of skill.
You're doing something for yourself, especially when you are in a profession that's got the corrosive stress that these guys deal with at all times, right? They're dealing with the unknown and unknowable. That on its own is stressful. And then add into it, whatever it is that they're responding to, the call, you know,
Yeah.
some sort of a crime being committed, something in progress. And it can be all across the map. So they need to bring their whole selves to it, right?
And that's one of these things that amazes me in that, like I said, when you told me about tactical breathing and combat breathing, I had never heard of it before. So if I'm not mistaken, what we're dealing with is where they're trained professionals. I mean, they're
Yeah.
highly trained,
Right.
including de-escalation
Right.
and stress management, but not enough. It seems, right? It's not actually practiced. So it's requiring someone like yourself to step in and say, let's actually build this into the program, into your resources. Let's give you
yeah.
a resource that you can use.
Let's build it into your 8 hours. This is not, you know, recreational or nice to have.
Yeah.
This is something that a human being in this profession needs in order to stay focused, to stay centered,
Yeah.
and stay well. It's wellness, you know, but it's one of those things that you have to proactively do. So, and it's
Well,
easy.
I'm all ears. I'm all nose. I want to learn this.
Good.
Are you ready?
I am.
Because I don't really know. I've never done this. This is
I am.
live. I mean, live in the studio. And we're going to see.
Good.
Okay?
Yes.
So what do I need to do?
You're doing it right now. So you
Okay.
are sitting with your feet hip width apart.
Okay.
Your hands are on your thighs, and you're pulling yourself forward. You've got a nice straight spine, not in, not straight whereas like, you know, you feel like stiff, right? Yeah. So nice straight spine, maybe tuck your chin in slightly. Good. Okay. So you
And follow along with us if you can. at home.
yes, it's super easy. It's super easy. So you are going to begin to inhale into your nose, into the belly, chest, neck, head, all the way up. And then exhaling all the way down. Eyes are closed, eyes are relaxed. And you're going to inhale again, deep into the belly, chest, neck, head, all the way in, all the way up. Acknowledging that spot where it's silent at the top of your inhale. And then all the way down, as if you are kind of a roller coaster car going up, 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 up. And pausing for just a second, and then you're going down, 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 right? So you've got a moment of silence at the bottom of your exhale and at the top of your inhale. So you are breathing deeply. And you've noticed that your breath right away has already deepened. So you're breathing in peace. You're breathing in clarity. And you're exhaling any sort of doubt, any sort of self-limiting thoughts. You are limitless. So by deep breathing here, you're stripping away the layers of stress and you're coming back to center. So you're inhaling a sense of calm. You're allowing that to come over you. Inhaling consonants, right? And you're exhaling any sort of dissonance, all of the noise that's around you, that's around us in our huge, noisy world. So you are your own place of calm. And so calm is within you from deep down within and out. So you're able to resonate on a higher frequency when you access this peacefulness, this center that is you, right? This peace, this love, this light that is you. So you're breathing deeply into the belly, chest, neck, head, all the way in, all the way up. Sending the breath to where you might have some tension in your shoulders, in your neck, your lower back, and you're allowing that to release on the exhale. So now in this next inhale, I want to invite you to, from the inside out, look up to that spot in the middle of your forehead. This is an energy center. This is your 6th chakra. We don't really talk about this with the police. This is very non-chakra talk with the cops. But as a yogi, we all know that this is an energy center in the upper triangle. So this area that is right in the middle of your forehead, your third eye. So you're looking up to that spot from the inside out, and you're activating your pituitary gland. You're forcing this gland to press, right? Your optic nerves are engaged. You feel a slight bit of tension kind of around the circle of your face. That's going to dissipate in a moment or two as you, as that gland starts to secrete, and then that gland starts to press on the pineal gland. So what's happening here is that you are going into a deep yoga meditation. So we're not only activating the parasympathetic nervous system by our long, deep breathing, we're activating the endocrine system. So the pituitary gland is the master gland, right? These small glands that basically control us. So we're centering on a very deep level that becomes something greater than the sum of its parts, right? So your breathing is activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Your gaze is activating the endocrine system. So the two together take you to a deeper calm, right? Takes you to a deeper place. So for the next 60 seconds or so, Brian, you're going to now lift your right hand and block off your right nostril, and you're going to long, deep breathe just into the left side, same way. Let it take the time that it takes to breathe deeply into the belly, chest, neck, head, all the way in, all the way up on the left side. And then you're exhaling same way, all the way down, all the way down, all the way out. And again, all the way in. This is the deep downshift into calm when we're breathing into our left nostril breathing. You can breathe out into the right side as well as the energizing breath, but we're going for calm here. We're going for deep calm. So if we're breathing into the left side, that's what we are manifesting, is a deep sense of calm. I've been a musician my whole life, and before getting up on stage, I'm backstage doing my left side breathing, 5 or 6 rounds of that, to really activate the deepest sense of calm. What this does is it makes you highly alert, but it also builds a bit of a cushion around you so that you feel not only alert, but you feel relaxed in this alertness. And whatever you need to deal with, whether it's you're going to give a piano recital, you're going to have a difficult conversation with your teenager, you're going to ask your boss for a raise, whatever you're going to do, left side breathing prepares you for it. So yeah, you're doing great. So really nice. Deeply into the left side, yeah, belly, chest, neck, head, all the way in, all the way up, that piece of silence at the very, very top. And then again, all the way out. Feeling like your whole body is a piece of loosely woven cloth. At this point, right, you're drawing the breath into you and allowing it to leave you. Good. Good. So on this next inhale, I'm going to invite you to bring your hand back down to your lap. Inhale nice and deep, and at the very, very top, suspend the breath for just a moment or two. Noticing where your breath is in your body, north, south, east, and west. And go ahead and exhale fully. And again, go ahead and breathe in nice and deep, all the way in, all the way up. And suspending the breath, noticing how much bigger you feel from the inside out than you did when we began. And as you exhale, go ahead and just roll your shoulders back and forth, wiggle around, let your neck be loose. Feel that nice tingling sensation. You've reoxygenated your blood cells, lowered your heart rate. You're in great shape. You feel like you can take on the world, right? Now we're going to go into the third exercise that we do with the police. This is called warrior breath. They call it box breathing. This is the one that a lot of people know. So again, with the eyes closed or the eyes relaxed, you want to be taking the gaze to the middle of the forehead. What we're going to do is we're going to inhale into the nose for the count of 4. We're going to suspend the breath for the count of 4. We're going to exhale out through our mouth for the count of 5, and we're going to hold it out for 3. So I will do this with you. So we're going to inhale all the way in. Good. And we're going to suspend, just pause at the very top. And we're going to exhale. For about 5 counts, the abs come in at the bottom, and we keep it out, out. And again, big inhale. Into the nose, yeah, all the way in, all the way up. And pause, right there. Good. Big exhale, yeah, nice. Everything out, all that stress comes out. The abs come in, and keep it out, out. And again, big inhale. All the way in, all the way up. And hold. Nice. Big exhale, exhaling out whatever doesn't belong there anymore. You know what that is. And keep it out, out. Good. Big inhale, taking it all the way to your top. And from there is where you pause. Good. Big exhale. Everything out, whatever it is, all that stress and tension, and release, keeping it out. And inhale, nice and big. And you're going to pause. Nice. Huge exhale. Good. The abs come in toward the bottom, and keep it out, out. Last time, big inhale. All the way in, fresh oxygen, and at your top is where you hold. Nice. Huge exhale. Good. And keep it out, out. Good. Now I want you to take a nice, big, deep inhale, the biggest one you've taken all day long. And hold at the top just for a moment or two. Now, how do you feel? Nice and big from the inside out. Good. Yeah, good. One more big, deep inhale, taking it all the way to the top, taking it to your edge. Yeah. And whenever you're ready, exhale. Good. Now we're going to remain very still here for a moment or two, acknowledging that this is the peaceful essence of us. And may we bring this peaceful essence of us to every thought, word, and deed. And may we take this with us all day long. May we feel blessed and elevated. May our courage take us to performance of experience and grace. And may we remember that we have the right to remain silent and connect to the peace within. And this is our roll call. Sat Nam. Beautiful.
Beautiful.